Free agency in Major League Baseball has definitely changed over the last few years. We're seeing players sign later, for shorter contracts, less money, that is unless you're Bryce Harper or Manny Machado, and part of that reason is due to the contracts that have gone on the last 10 years. We have seen some horrible ones. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you the 10 worst free agency contracts in Major League Baseball in the last 10 years. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it. That's the best way to show your support. Subscribe if you're new and you enjoy the content. If you love baseball, click that sub button, join the team. Get in the comments down below. Let me know who I missed out on today's video. Chris Davis does not count. He was not a free agent. He was on the Orioles, re-signed with them. And of course, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links in the description. Let's get it started with someone who's near and dear to my favorite team. You can't have a bad contract video without talking about Jason Bay. On December 29th, 2009, Jason Bay and the New York Mets agreed to a 4-year, $66 million contract with a vesting option for a 5th year. Now, in retrospect, $66 million compared to some of these other contracts, not a huge amount of money to really eat for the Mets. But then again, it is the Mets who don't spend a lot of money, and part of the reason they don't do that anymore is because of this Jason Bay contract. He was so bad for the Mets, terrible. He only played in 3 seasons for the Mets, 2010 to 2012, and he never played in more than 123 games in a season. His numbers just weren't good. First year in 2010, he played in 95 games, hit 6 homers, 20 doubles and 6 triples, 47 RBIs, 259 batting average, 347 on base, 402 slugging, and a 749 OPS. That was his best year as a Met. It got worse after that every single season. 2011, he played in his most games, 123, which gave him 12 homers, 19 doubles, and 57 RBIs, but he hit 245, a 329 on base, a 374 slugging, and an OPS at 703. That was bad. And then 2012 was by far the worst year. It was so bad. 70 games played, 8 homers, 2 doubles, 20 RBIs. He hit 165 with a 237 on base, 299 slugging to give him an OPS at 536. Now, yes, Jason Bay did have some injury issues, which did hurt his career, but even when he was on the field for the Mets, he was a shell of the player he once was. Jason Bay, what a bad contract. Next up, let's talk about a pitching contract that finds its way on the worst of the last 10 years. That's going to be when the Detroit Tigers signed Jordan Zimmermann. In the offseason leading to the 2016 season, Jordan Zimmermann was signed by the Detroit Tigers to a 5-year, $110 million contract, of which he is still signed to this day. Now, Detroit had good reason to sign him. In 2013, he finished 7th in the Cy Young voting. 2014, 5th. In his first season with the Detroit Tigers, he wasn't great. Only appeared in 19 games, a 4.87 ERA, which was the highest of his career for a season, a whip at 1.36. His strikeouts went down massively. He was giving up a ton of hits. He was really struggling. Didn't get better the next year. He did make 29 starts pitching in 160 innings, but he had a 6.08 ERA, gave up the most earned runs in the American League, a whip at 1.55. He only struck out 100 batters. For a guy getting paid over $20 million a year, you expected better, and it really hasn't gotten any better since then. 2018, he had an ERA of 4.52, and then 2019, it was the worst of his career, a 1-13 record with a 6.91 ERA, a whip at 1.518. He pitched in 112 innings, striking out only 82 batters. Jordan Zimmermann has never pitched more than 160 innings as a Detroit Tiger. The amount of money that he eats every year, you can't even trade him. He hasn't even been decent. This contract has killed the Tigers. For our next bad contract, we head to the other New York team. Yes, the Yankees make bad moves, because signing Jacoby Ellsbury, wow, that might be the worst contract of this decade. In the offseason leading to the 2014 season, Jacoby Ellsbury and the New York Yankees reached an agreement, 7 years, $153 million. An asinine amount for Jacoby Ellsbury. Besides the season where he finished 2nd in the MVP voting in 2011, Ellsbury had been a borderline good player, only having an OPS above 800 for the one season where he was an MVP candidate. Otherwise, it was in the 700s, sometimes in the 6s. The big thing with Jacoby Ellsbury was that he could fly and he played a good center field, but when he went to the Yankees, it changed. Now, his first season with the Yankees was probably his best. Played in 149 games, 16 homers, 27 doubles, 5 triples, 70 RBIs, and he stole 39 bases. 271 average, 747 OPS, but it just got worse and worse, and the guy hasn't played in a Major League Baseball game since 2017, 2 full seasons of just not doing anything. The Yankees eating all that money could be spent somewhere else. Instead, Jacoby Ellsbury is making $20+ million a year to not even touch the field. His slash line with the Yankees is 264 batting average, 330 on base, 386 slugging, and a 716 OPS. He has a right around 130 extra base hits in 4 seasons, not including the 2 that he didn't touch the field. So yeah, in 6 years, Jacoby Ellsbury has been horrible, and ask any Yankee fan about the worst contract in Yankees history, almost every single one of them I think right now is going to tell you Jacoby Ellsbury. He's just been so bad. To keep with the outfielder theme here, because man, a lot of outfielders in this video, let's talk about the Atlanta Braves and their bad contract with BJ Upton, or Melvin Upton, not sure what we call him anymore. I'm gonna call him BJ. In the offseason leading to the 2013 season, BJ Upton was a free agent after playing with the Tampa Bay Rays and having a really solid career. They gave BJ Upton a 5-year, $75.25 million contract, which was the largest free agent contract ever ever by the Atlanta Braves. With the Rays, he was good for 20 homers, 30 doubles, he could steal some bases, he was a really athletic player, played the outfield pretty solid, wasn't a top player in the league, but was still good. It didn't get off to a good start in Atlanta for BJ Upton. He basically played a full season, 126 games, where he only had 23 extra base hits, 9 homers, 14 doubles, 26 RBIs, wasn't even stealing bases, 12 of them. He hit 184 with a 268 on base, 289 slugging to give him an OPS at 557. Followed up in 2014 with an equally as bad season. He played in 141 games, had a few more extra base hits this year, 12 homers, 19 doubles, 5 triples, stole 20 bags, but his slash line was still bad. 208 average, 287 on base, 333 slugging, and a 620 OPS. On April 5th, 2015, the Braves had enough. They traded BJ Upton and Craig Kimbrell to the Padres in exchange for Carlos Quentin, Cameron Maybin, Jordan Parabek, Matt Whistler, and the 41st pick in the MLB draft. So he was now the Padres' problem, and he still didn't play well there. 257 batting average, 313 on base, 435 slugging, and OPS at 748. So a little bit better, but still not really living up to the hype that he had when he signed that contract. Finally, Justin Upton was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays in 2016 for pretty much nothing, and as you can imagine, he didn't play well, an OPS at 578 in 57 games. So $75 million for 5 years didn't really live up to that price tag. We move to the infield for this next position, but we do keep it in the National League East. Remember when the Miami Marlins spent a lot of money? Well, they made some bad signings, and one of those was Jose Reyes. On December 7th, 2011, Jose Reyes signed a 6-year, $106 million contract with the Miami Marlins, and was a part of that huge free agent class for them that was going to bring the new baseball field to Miami. To the Marlins' defense, Jose Reyes had probably one of his better years out of all the years in that contract with them, but they still were the ones who initiated it, so it's just a bad contract in general. 2012, like I said, best year he had in this contract, that was with the Marlins. Played in 160 games, 11 homers, 37 doubles, 12 triples, stole 40 bases, 287 batting average, 347 on base, 433 slugging, and OPS at 780. Not horrible, especially for a leadoff guy who doesn't hit for power and really steals bases. Marlins had enough of him though and traded him to the Blue Jays, where he became the Blue Jays problem. 2013, he got injured, only played in 93 games, but then 2014, you saw his play decline even more. 9 homers, 33 doubles, 4 triples, 30 stolen bases, OPS at 726, and in 2015, the Blue Jays had enough. They traded him to the Colorado Rockies on July 27th, and as you can expect, Jose Reyes didn't play well in Colorado. He had a 659 OPS in the 47 games with them. He then had the issue with domestic violence, was cut, the Mets picked him up, and he was always a shell of the player that he once was. But at 6 years, $106 million, and never making an all-star team under that contract, definitely one of the worst. Back to the outfield we go to talk about the terrible contract that is Jason Hayward and the Chicago Cubs. Going into the 2016 season, the Chicago Cubs signed their big outfielder that they needed to get to that World Series push. They signed Jason Hayward to an 8-year, $184 million deal. I honestly can't believe I'm even reading that out loud. Now, in the Cubs' defense, they won a World Series in 2016, but from a sheer production standpoint, Jason Hayward has not lived up to that contract, and it's handcuffed them the last couple off seasons and spending money on free agents because they have all this money dedicated to Jason Hayward. I mean, even at the time of signing this contract, people were like, that seems like a lot of money to give Jason Hayward for a guy who only had an OPS above 800 twice. His first year with the Cubs was bad. I mean, really bad. So at least he's improved every year since then, but still not living up to that money. In 2016, Jason Hayward played in 142 games, hit 7 home runs, 27 doubles, 1 triple, a 230 batting average, 306 on base, 325 slugging, and a 631 OPS, all career lows by a good margin. Next year, like I said, he improved, 259 batting average, 326 on base, 389 slugging, 715 OPS, and he did pretty much the exact same thing the next year. Like, those are bad seasons for a guy that you're paying a ton of money, 8 years, 184, especially when it's hurting you to get better players in the offseason. And 2019 was definitely the best year that he's had as a Chicago Cub, where he hit 21 homers, 20 doubles, 4 triples, and 62 RBIs, 772 OPS, 429 slugging. Jason Hayward, for me, is going to go down as one of the worst contracts that I've seen. I just can't believe they gave him all that money. This next one makes you laugh. Pablo Sandoval, Boston Red Sox. I got to include it in this video. It's so bad. Fresh coming off his World Series MVP with the Giants in 2014, Pablo Sandoval signed a huge deal with the Red Sox. 5 years, $90 million with a 6-year club option of $17 million. I know, it's crazy to think that Pablo Sandoval got paid that much. He was a good player, but even then, the Red Sox still overpaid for him. Of course, this is the video talking about bad contracts. You know how this one ended up. It wasn't good. His first season with Boston in 2015 was terrible, the worst of his career, where he hit 10 homers, which was a career low, having played previously in San Francisco, 47 RBIs, 245 batting average with a 292 on base, 366 slugging, and a 658 OPS. Horrendous. Next year in 2016, he only played in 3 games. Oh yeah, and in this time, Pablo Sandoval was getting fatter and fatter. His final year with the Boston Red Sox was in 2017, where he played 32 games. He was terrible. 622 OPS, 4 homers, 2 doubles, 212 batting average, on base below 300, slugging at 350. The Red Sox finally had enough. They were just going to eat the contract. They DFA'd him on July 14th, and that was the end of Pablo Sandoval in Boston. The Giants now have him, and he's been a little bit better. He had a decent year in 2019, but man, Pablo Sandoval, what a deal he got. This next player's been in the news recently for some bad stuff that he did. Josh Hamilton's contract with the Los Angeles Angels was not good. On December 13th, 2012, Josh Hamilton signed a 5-year, $125 million contract with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. In the Angels' defense, Josh Hamilton had had some monster years before that. The problem was that Josh Hamilton was going into his 32-year-old season, and we knew his past history. He's had problems with addiction. That's baggage that comes with him. It's just a fact. His first season with the Angels in 2013 was just not very good, not living up to that contract. 21 homers, 32 doubles, 5 triples, 79 RBIs. He hit .250 with a .307 on base, .432 slugging, and a .739 OPS. All of those career lows. He then followed it up in 2014, only playing in 89 games, .745 OPS, but he hit .263 with a .331 on base, .414 slugging. Fans were starting to boo him. Hamilton was lashing out. He was basically saying, I don't play for the fans. He underwent shoulder surgery in February of 2015, which led to a relapse, sadly, in his drug addiction. And on April 27th, the Angels had enough. They traded him back to the Texas Rangers for cash and a player to be named later. Literally was taking anything to get rid of this guy. And he ended up playing 50 games that season. Wasn't very good though. 8 homers, 8 doubles, 25 RBIs. And that would be the last time Josh Hamilton played in Major League Baseball. He tried to come back in 2016, tried to come back in 2017, but he just couldn't come back from the injuries. And we didn't see Josh Hamilton play ever again after 2015. For our second to last player, we go back to the outfield. And again, Boston Red Sox. Sorry, I gotta include multiple players from you guys. But he gave some bad contracts. And the next one's gonna be Carl Crawford. On December 8th, 2010, Carl Crawford signed a 7-year, $142 million deal with the Red Sox. Carl Crawford kind of fell into that same scenario of like Jacoby Ellsbury, BJ Upton, where like they were just being overrated a little bit because Carl Crawford got paid. He struggled terribly in his first year with the Red Sox at the beginning of the season. He picked it up towards the end, but still wasn't very good. In 130 games, he had 11 homers, 29 doubles, 7 triples to give himself 56 RBIs. He only stole 18 bases, which was by far a career low. Hit .255, again career low, with a .289 on base, 405 slugging, and a 694 OPS. Very, very below average as a player. 2012, injury problems, only played in 31 games. In that 2012 season, the Red Sox had enough of him. They traded him to the Los Angeles Dodgers along with Josh Beckett, Adrian Gonzalez, and Nick Punto. Crawford made his Dodger debut on opening day in 2013. Didn't really have a great year. 6 homers, 30 doubles, 3 triples, 31 RBIs, 15 stolen bases. Again, his speed seemed to have been gone. He wasn't stealing bases anymore. 283 average, 329 on base, 407 slugging, and a 736 OPS. Similar numbers in 2014, not much to talk about. Egmini did hit 300, but still not a lot of impact. And then 2015 and 16, he played in a combined total of 99 games in those 2 seasons. For the entirety of that contract, while Carl Crawford wasn't the worst player, he still didn't live up to the money. He still didn't live up to the player that he once was in Tampa. That's why he finds himself on one of the worst contracts, which leads us to the last and final player of today's video. It pains me to do this so much because he's one of the greatest players of all time. We gotta talk about the Albert Pujols contract with the Angels. Now, I will give the Angels some slack here. Who saw Albert Pujols falling off like he did? The dude was a top player in baseball. And in 2011, while he didn't have the best year of his career, he was still a top 5 MVP candidate, coming off of some of the best years of his career. He was so nasty. Then as soon as he got to Los Angeles, things changed. The power was still there. He was still hitting homers, and in 2012, he definitely had the best season of his career with the Angels. 30 homers, 50 doubles, 105 RBIs, 285 batting average with a 343 on base, 516 slugging, and 859 OPS. Those are still really good numbers. Little overpaid, but still, he was producing. Then in 2013, he only played in 99 games because of an injury. He finished that year with a career low 767 OPS, career low at the time 258 batting average. Everything was a career low. 2015, again, not a terrible season. 40 homers, 22 doubles, 95 RBIs, 787 OPS, but again, average low, on base low, slugging kind of low. And then from 2017 till 2019, Albert Pujols has just not been a very good player. He's lost any ounce of athleticism that he's once had. I mean, have you seen the guy run? He's incredibly slow. Not to mention his power seems to have been drained. Oh yeah, and you still have him for 2 more seasons that you have to pay him. This is money that you could be putting elsewhere. This contract essentially paid for 5 years of Albert Pujols being a lesser player than he once was, and then 5 years of him being bad. That's over $100 million being dedicated to a player who is not good. And that's just what Albert Pujols is right now. It pains me to say it. He's one of the greatest players of all time. But these last 3 years, and I'm assuming the next 2 are rough. They're not going to be fun to watch. They weren't fun to watch. Can't imagine it's going to get much better. So those are the 10 worst free agent contracts in Major League Baseball of the last 10 years. I'd love to know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Was I a little too harsh on Albert Pujols? Did he deserve to be in there? Was there someone else I forgot? Remember to leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it. That's the best way to show your support, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I do appreciate you all. You know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video right here, as well as this is my most recent upload. So if you haven't seen them, click them. I'm telling you, you're gonna like what you see. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you all tomorrow for another one. Bye.